Please welcome Kelly Reichardt, and to the stage, Kristen Stewart, Laura Dern, and Lily Gladstone. And I just want to apologize to everyone for the, I don't even know what to call it, the sprint back and forth across, but this is the digital media age, and that happens sometimes. So in the interests of time, why don't we just get started with questions? If anyone has anything that they'd like to jump in with, you can. And if you don't, then I'll start the ball rolling. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Microphone's not working. There we go. Yeah.
Low. Test.
There it is.
Hi. Clayton Davis, awardcircuit.com. My question is for Kristen Stewart. You have 3 films playing at the festival, this, Personal Shopper, and Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. I just wanted to know, in this time in your career, what are you finding yourself most attracted to in terms of roles and these different roles that you're taking at this point?
Oh, good stuff, you know? Yeah, like, I typically don't have to spend more than like 5 minutes in a room with someone to know if I want to explore something with them. And I've just been kind of navigating it like that. And I've worked recently with like a lot of people that I've grown up really loving, which is a great thing. And it's like super lucky, and it's super conducive to making like good shit. And because I think I have pretty good taste, you know what I'm saying? But also like, at the same time, like I really love like not knowing that something's going to be good, and spending a few minutes with someone and going, shit, you've never done this before? Well, let's do it now. So I don't. There's no like formula. That's so not how you're ever going to make anything worthwhile. It's like yeah, I'm really not precious about it. I've just gotten super lucky lately. Yep.
Kelly, what was it in these stories that drew you to make this movie?
The stories are from a Montana-based writer, Maile Meloy. She's not Montana-based anymore, but she's from Montana. Right. And I had done 4 films with Jonathan Raymond out in Oregon, and he had children and whatever, wanted to pay attention to them or something, and work on his novel. So I was left on my own, and I came upon her stories, and it was a new landscape to investigate, and all the characters were really part of the environment they were in, and so it seemed like I liked there was all these great women characters that were sort of alienated to the people that were closest to them, but somehow making connections to people that were strangers. And so those sorts of things were kind of the leading threads.
Microphone, Peter. Here it comes.
Kelly, you seem to be able to find the mysterious in the quotidian, and it's just almost like a Whitman-esque quality to it. Is that a lot from the writing, or is that also your sensibility?
Tell me the question again. Oh man, you're right over my head. The everyday? All right.
Kelly's not very smart, you know.
I'm not that smart.
Let's say every day instead of quotidian.
I was being interviewed by Richard Hell once, and he just started shaking his head like in disappointment, going like, "You're so nuts and bolts," and it was like, I am. Wow. The everyday. Well,
that's pretty much
yeah. Okay.
Layman's language.
The hassles of the everyday. The small strokes, is that what we would talk about? Yeah, I am interested in I really like filming processes of whatever that is, you know, walk across the country, build a fire, build a bomb, go to work, feed a horse. I do like small processes and you know, Nanook at the north, I could watch it all day, build an igloo. You know, so I'm just trying to work some story into that sort of thing. And I don't know, I've sort of come to realize that all the films, and this one included, at the end up being a lot about driving from point A to point B, and people or walking. The getting to and fro seems to be where a lot of things take place. But I mean, a process has a nice place to start and things to do, and keeps people active. And it's a
Active and healthy.
well,
Yeah.
it keeps people doing things, so they, in a way, I don't know, you could ask these guys about that. So there's not really, so, I don't know, is this fair to say? So in a way, like dealing with an animal or building something or having to, deal with a really windy day in the scene you guys have, I mean, it does is there less acting in a way? I don't know if you'd say it that way.
Reacting
but
to the
I think it's more like you
reacting,
just get more to
certainly.
chew on.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I didn't go through the process of doing anything, but no, really, I did nothing.
You
But
were doing that long drive to and
you just didn't
from.
see that.
Yeah, you didn't see
Yeah.
that. You were
Yeah.
having to process those bad cheese sandwiches.
And teaching.
Yeah, in one night. Yeah,
Teaching the
whole thing.
class.
Teaching is a process.
Totally. You see really like a little bit of that too. You watch her, you know. But the thing that I really dig about, not to talk about you while you're sitting right here,
Yeah.
but most people do not focus on.
The quintillion.
Yeah,
Well, the
the
quintillion
stuff
is a whole
that
other
takes a
level. We'll
long
talk about that
time.
later.
It takes forever. It's like people go, oh no, but like, what's the most important part? Like, show me the moment where something happens. And that's like what we're used to seeing in movies. And like, if you can look at the stuff that goes on in between stuff, like getting to and fro and stuff like that, that's like when things start living. And it's really vulnerable to like not play something or not be expected to play something. And like, you have like, all of a sudden you start revealing things rather than like displaying them. And that's what I love about her movies. That's the thing. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you just said the different movies when you were talking about this film. And so did you guys think of yourself, I mean, Lily and Kristen were in the same movie, but did you think of yourselves as being in separate movies? It's interesting. I mean,
This movie, but
oh, you
yeah,
weren't?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, well,
Yeah.
they weren't really there at the same time.
Right. Yeah. And Laura's movie is quite distinct in that it's a situational kind of drama. And, yeah.
And I think, you know, I mean, I can speak from my experience of it, but I'm assuming we probably all shared this. Even though we were within our own movie, there was a longing to feel the connection so that we were fulfilling the collaborative whole that we were asked to do by Kelly. But it was, it's elusive and subtle. And like what Kristen was talking about, the thing I admire so much about Kelly's work and why I was so thrilled to be invited to this journey is that she is interested in the life that happens in the pauses. And, you know, as an actor, that you get to come into that space. And it is the space where no one's watching that you reveal the most of yourself. And each of us got to do that and then perhaps consider how we were telling the same story. And I think even through the press, we're starting to have conversations about what that is in new ways that we didn't necessarily even know when we were making it.
Into like all of these little tidbits. I'm like, really? Whoa.
Yeah.
Lily, you were going to
I was just saying, though, in the edit, like you were saying, you find a lot more, and then the more you watch it, you remember making choices, whether they were really, really clear or vague, something that you were just sitting with and kind of letting digest in your gut, and then little burps of emotion coming out. But yeah, the edits that Kelly found in the story and the choices that we ultimately made revealed a lot of who the rancher became. Because it's a huge process. The rancher that we tried out in a lot of different ways, and the rancher that's on in the film, It's, I found the takes and I found the character choices that I made, and Kelly saw the takes that had those little through lines in them. And yeah, I don't know, it's getting a little off topic about all the stories kind of
Not really.
coming
No.
together. I think I'm done.
Microphone down here.
There's so many great gestures, but there was one that startled me, and that was in the diner when you are wiping your mouth with the napkin still wrapped around the cutlery. That was terrific. I've never seen that anyone do that. Where did that come from?
It was quite startling for me also.
What? It's funny because you're actually like somebody said that to me earlier today. And they were like, "Tell me about this choice you made." I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. She has no time, you know? Like, I don't know, there's stuff on your face and just get it off and, yeah. Go, yeah. She's so distracted and fucking self-absorbed, so unbelievably self-involved. Like, there's just not a
Oh,
moment
she's
to think.
busy.
She's, you know what? You're very sweet. Come on. Yeah, but yeah, no. But what? Why? I'm like so curious.
Loves her.
Yeah. What do you mean though? Yeah.
Well, somebody who doesn't even take the time to unwrap the cutlery. That is, it is just so telling about
Rad.
a person.
That's awesome.
That's there is a knife inside, I suppose, too. So there's a lot
Symbolic.
in a napkin.
On a quotidian level.
Made my mom
Kristen
laugh.
thought that's how Kristen thought that's how everyone in Montana eats, and we sailed there. No.
Yep.
Orange.
Yeah, I'm very orange today.
Orange man.
So you'd see me. Wonderful performances by all these wonderful women, but I have to ask Kelly a question. It's kind of, both Kristen and Laura are playing lawyers. Was Michelle's character supposed to be a lawyer too? I didn't get what her profession was.
Yeah, why are you so
we
pro
don't, she
lawyer?
doesn't have
Yeah.
a profession.
It's funny when you start to scout around the country. Like I was scouting Boise for a while, and I thought, oh, I wonder if there's any lawyers' offices. And then you realize, in every town I scouted, there's lawyers in medical buildings, and that's really what there is. Even out west, it's just like, where's the feed store? It's like lawyer, 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 medical building, lawyer. It wasn't said what Michelle's character was. At times we talked about her being a lawyer. It seemed too heavy to put that in. At times I thought she might work for an ad agency.
She seemed like a professional who was.
Yeah, she's from
Had the
California,
wherewithal to
moving
pick-
to Montana, in my mind, yeah. I think Maile Meloy wrote about lawyers a lot because I think her parents are lawyers. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
I want to also thank each of the actors that are present and the ones that are not for being in this film. It's a small film, it's a beautiful film, and your work is stunning individually. I wanted to ask Kelly a question about landscape and field division. It seems when I first saw this film some time ago, one image stuck in my mind, and it's in the stable, and there's a window in the back that looks out on the prairie, and the horses go in and out of that. But that's the one I carried of all the images that I remembered from the film. So I want you to, and your characters seem to be rooted as secondary almost to the landscape in most of your work. And the script itself, for me, is like a Pinter script. They say things to each, the actors recite words and actions, but what's underneath of that is what really captures me about what where the communication is not in the words, but it's like a tree or a river or a waterfall. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I wish I was better at articulating these things. There is a rule on set between me and Chris Blauvelt, I don't want to say the cinematographer I'm lucky enough to work with, that there can be no beauty or landscape for its own sake, that it has to somehow be working in the movie. It has to be serving something. Same with an animal, it can't be for the sake of sentiment and, and how to, I guess I could talk about like maybe Robert Adams or some of the photographers who really capture the West that's all sort of though about man's footprint in it. And there's a painter I like in Oregon, Michael Brophy, who also paints, they're landscape paintings, but you can't ever escape that there's this, the tracks of where we've been. And so I guess, I'm really not answering the question well, but I do sort of have a feeling about a lot of the places we really do leave the most beautiful shots behind us, and it can't. I just wouldn't want the landscape to take over a character or try to get something across. It can get across loneliness, and you can look small in it, but it's a fine line. Like I don't want it to play to sentiment or if it's not sort of working for you, it tends to take away something. And so I guess it's where they fit in it, and the goal is how to get sort of physicalize what's internal without having to do it through dialogue. That's like one of the main goals, though. There's I like the dialogue in the film and in Miley's stories, but I am interested in sort of how the frame can work and what you can get across with a cut or with how someone moves through a frame.
Maybe another way of slicing into it is that the landscape actually becomes a character in the film too.
Dude, I don't want to be that loser that like talks to like out of like whatever, but what I really like about but what I really dig about that shot, like the door opens, it's so stunningly beautiful. Like you have a character who lives in this environment, and it says so much about her, because like I appreciate like physical beauty, but not like somebody that lives in Montana and runs a fucking ranch farm, like a ranch, and like wants to really gives themselves completely to this in a way that's like really mystical and like kind of like totally beyond me. And that shot for me totally functions as like, it's so character defining for her. She wakes up there every morning, and that is what she loves, and it's so beautiful, and I've never seen anything, you know what I mean? Like you just wouldn't, I don't know, there's a reverence to it that's immediately contagious. It's cool. She sees it every morning, you know what I mean? It's like, it really does say something about, it's not just pretty for the sake of being pretty, it's like a thing, it's a serious thing.
Well said.
Let me just tell you how I feel. Yeah.
One little tidbit that I found really cool was when we were shooting, we were at the epicenter of 3 different mountain ranges with the triptych. That felt a little bit fateful. And the range you see are the Bridgers, and then the Crazies, and then the Absaroka Mountains, which is anglicized articulation of Absaloga, which is Crow Nation, which is my character's mom's nation in Miley's story. But yeah, anyways, 3 mountain fronts, 3 stories. Thought that was kind of serendipitous.
Yeah.
And we were right in the middle of it in Clyde Park.
It's the kind of shit like that she knows, that you can tell immediately, that you're just like, this person's from this place. Like that's
Yeah, I am.
That shot speaks to it, like it does. Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you. Hello. I just wanted to really quickly follow up on that back here. for Lily. Back here, hi.
Where are you? Sorry.
Can you talk about the preparation for taking care of the horses and what you had to do and how it made you feel at the end of the day? You seem very zen in the role.
Yeah, nothing puts you in a zen mode like hard manual labor with animals.
Negative 6-degree weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Browning, Montana, which is, my family had a long history of Indian cowboys. You know, my family particularly, though, my mom's a teacher, so that's a little bit more what I'm familiar with. I was around horses, I was around ranch work growing up, going to visit cousins and everything. I did a lot of heavy lifting on theater tours and stuff, but to prepare specifically for this role and to get lived in, I just wanted to get to know the animals, basically. That's what it is. Otherwise, it's just moving stuff around and starting an ATV and stuff that we can all do. But, well, thanks, Laura. Stuff that girls that are built like the rancher can do pretty easily. So I grew up in that environment a bit, but to get specifically ready for it, it was going out to the actual location and really immersing myself with the specific animals. They all have very different temperaments. I mean, Rowdy and I fell in love immediately, the little corgi. And then really that's where I found a lot of the rancher that you see on screen was present in the rancher who owns the property. There were a lot of unspoken words, you know, but we had such an understanding, and that's pretty common. You go out and you buck bales together, and you give the horses their shots. She trusted me to do that one morning. And then you settle into a real quiet ease with all of them. It's nonverbal communication is all. So I went and lived in it for a couple weeks. It was a working ranch.
It was a working.
Most of the horses were pregnant too.
It was such a lucky find to find that ranch. It was so random of just driving around and scouting, and I had in my head a beige ranch. In Miley's story, it's a cattle ranch, and you're just going to red barn after red barn, and then suddenly there was a beige ranch, and my location scout went to the door, and we met Lynn, who was the rancher. This woman, 61 years old and 21 horses, that she does the whole routine herself. And she made fun of us. Every day we were out there, Chris Blavelt, my assistant director, and every day we were out there before Lily got there. We'd leave the ranch and we'd go and buy more clothes, more boots, more jackets, more just trying to get warm. And she made so much fun of us. She was bare, she didn't even have gloves on. But she was so skeptical of having an actress come. And I kept saying, we want someone to come work with you for 2 weeks. And she was so skeptical. And then, she wants to adopt Lily. But she had the next colt that was born was named Lily. Wow.
She's a little buckskin.
But Laura, you were good working with a car, a pen, an office, and a bedroom, right? Yeah,
Yes, I mean, it was a lot of
preparation.
Working
yeah.
preparation. Yeah. Oh my God.
She had Jared to manage, which is great.
Okay.
One little thing I'll share about Lynn's routine that I've never seen on any other ranch I've ever been on. She uses baling twine to shut gates behind her because they just, locks freeze so much and they take so much replacement, and this twine is lying everywhere. So the moment where the rancher cuts the little twine, that's totally original to Lynn's routine.
It could be helpful to you New Yorkers.
Always use baling twine. Yeah.
Hey, hello everyone. This is Art from my New York guy. Congratulations, beautifully acted film. Such a wonderful cast. I mean, it's amazing. Can you talk a little bit about the casting process in the sense that did you decide that you wanted all these female characters and it could have been, was it a conscious choice, and then developing these beautiful characters and working with these individual actors, what was that like? And I have a follow-up question for Kristen, that you worked a lot in commercial Hollywood, and now you're doing such beautiful independent films as well. As an actor, do you find this more satisfying? Is it a conscious choice again, or is that something that just, came to you?
All right. Casting is a long and winding road. I mean, Kristen, I first became aware of in The Runaways and film, which I thought she was amazing in. And then she did a film with my dear friends Richard Glatzer and Wash Westmoreland, and I watched all their dailies, and I was like, oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, I saw everything, yeah. Yeah. And Laura Dern I've been wanting to work with as long as I've made movies. And I was trying really hard to get on her TV show to direct her. And so anyway, I got her this way. And Michelle Williams, love Michelle. And she's always game, and she's really easy to work with. And then Lily was like the gift of the film gods that came our way. And yeah, and so, I mean, working with every actor is so different, and each interaction is just an education in a new possible way about how to, you're like, all of a sudden you're in a project with someone that you don't really know, and you're asking them to completely trust you. And I, aside from just really great performances, they're all happen to be people that brought, and I would say this about Rene and Jared Harris and James Gros, also that brought, it's a total collaboration and brought a lot of ideas and things that I hadn't pictured, and it's an evolving thing that you're in the middle of, and so and we're very, the cast is very tight with the crew on these films. There's a wonderful crew, and there's not really any separation from crew and actors. Everybody's sort of very much in it together. And I don't know, it's very lucky to be able to work with these women. And those guys are pretty good too. Yeah, I will say. Jared's around somewhere. I don't know where he is, but yeah. Okay.
It's totally the same thing. I would never draw attention to the distinction between doing a big movie and a small one, because then you're like, cool, well, why are you doing it? That's weird. Okay. And I've always I guess you could technically draw distinctions because you have more money to play with, and then it kind of, naturally affects the dynamic a little bit, but at the end of the day, when you're really, I've never approached anything going, oh, this is bigger now, therefore I'm less entitled to something meaningful or something. That's what you think, but it's totally not true. Even if the result of it makes you think it, we were trying, yeah.
Sometimes you need a payday, so you get on a That's right. No, I was going to say, so you get on a Reichardt film.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, actually, just to say very quickly, because everyone thinks it's a thing where you're like, no, it's one for me, one for them. I just got really lucky on that one. It just made a lot of.
Yeah, this is the one for us.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Wait, I would never.
This was the money maker.
I seem to have touched on some. Oh boy, I'm in big trouble.
Firestorm. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was sick the last few days, so now I'm dead.
I'm wondering about the subject of love. It seems that so many of the men and some of the women had terrific needs. That they were sort of needy people, and they wanted to connect, and the connections were really limited. So I thought it was really wonderful, the milkshake scene, where he's in jail, and you're able to reach out to him in that way and sort of be attuned for the moment. And when Michelle Williams was serving the hamburgers. You know, there was so much disconnection there and so much unattunement, but yet they were able to accept something. So I thought the tension was really interesting, how there were so many needy people and so many misconnections. I'm wondering if you had any comments about that.
Well, I'll just speak to the one scene that I was fascinated by, and probably the aspect of the character that Kelly and I talked about the most, really, in comparison to the love scene that sort of opens that story, to the milkshake moment, and what does it mean? Because one of the things I'm so grateful for, of the many things I am as a fan of Kelly's work and such an admirer, is the incremental growth of human beings. And there's no need to get to a certain place with her characters, but, you know, again, within these pauses, we see where longing takes you if you stick with it. And through the character of Laura's journey, oh my God, that's my name too, so that's really easy. That's why I picked it, because in press it gets confusing. I'm a blonde actress, have to keep it straight. So anyway, with Laura's character arc, it was incredible to consider that moment for her as a grand gesture that she sort of gets to. Because maybe sometimes people live in a world where you're having to watch your back from how you're being taken advantage of. Or you feel you're in a man's world and always having to consider your place in it and making sure you're heard. And the consequences, perhaps, of that are that one can lose sight of empathy. And so that was just a beautiful consideration in that moment to, despite his choices, to make the choice to move outside of myself toward him, and she guided me so beautifully. Because, you know, the longing, I think, as the actor, is that it's going to be this real connection and that it can have all that you want it to be, because you feel the heartbreak of not having given him something so deserving. But, you know, again, the incremental moments are perhaps more palpable.
Well, you brought him 2 different flavors.
Exactly. That was the prop department.
Kind of on that note, too, I think that's ultimately why the rancher decides to bring the horse, because she sees how in her head and tired and just kind of disconnected Beth is, but also sees through that and wants to. But the thing about, you know, bringing something that this is how I reconnect, this is how I kind of balance out. So just jump up here. I think looking for that and trying to, a little bit of a choice I made beforehand, because it is a grand gesture and it is just kind of weird to bring a horse. Not as much in Montana, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird, but you know, that's the thing. I'm actually glad you said that, because it's a very rural thing, and where it's cold, you don't get shy about getting close and snuggled up with somebody. It's not really, you don't necessarily read into it. But this horse and connecting on this horse and having that moment where you just are present. I don't know if anybody here rides, but it's pretty immediate. It's a pretty immediate, like, serotonin delivery when you're on a horse. And it's a really quick way of reconnecting to, I want to call it humanity, but I'm a little bit too much of an animist to say that. Well, reconnecting to whatever it is that we all have. Love.
We have the high sign. We have to clear out the theater for another show, but thank you all for coming. Thanks for your patience.
Thank
and
you
thanks
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.